giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Welcome. It is Travel Advisor Appreciation Day on launch day of this episode, and I am so excited that you chose to join me and that you choose to listen to me. And I just want to take a moment and celebrate you. I want you to take a moment and celebrate you as well. Celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small. We've got to celebrate the wins. We've got to celebrate the journey, even when that journey is hard AF. We have to find a way to celebrate it. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a different episode because I know that this week in particular, people are pumping the information at you. It's coming in from all sorts of places. Webinars are going crazy. Heck, I'm running a 5-day boot camp this week. We are pumping it out. But so I thought maybe it might be kind of fun just to have a little fun. I look back over my nearly 20 years of selling travel, and I kind of wanted to reflect a little bit on some of the moments. Because when you're in the trenches, you don't always get a moment to recognize how freaking awesome this industry is. How absolutely mind-blowing some of the experiences we get to have are. And also, too, I'm going to share a couple of my favorite stories just that have come over the years. You know, I think the moment that I truly went, holy crap, like this industry, I don't even remember what year it was. It was maybe like, I don't know, 2013, 2014, maybe 2015, somewhere around there. And the years are relevant. But I had gotten flown out to Vancouver by Oceania Cruise Lines. They had done a promotion that if we came out to see the ship, then there was like this whole thing there. So we did a site inspection the one day, and then we got an email from the Regent rep that says, hey, if you happen to be in Vancouver, we're going to take you on a site inspection the next day. So I just extended my stay by one night, which was fantastic. But I remember we toured Oceania, we site inspected the ship, we had a fabulous lunch. The second day, we're on board Regent having a spectacular lunch and just discussing. And somebody made the comment, they're like, I actually feel bad for my husband because he's at his office and it doesn't look anything like this. And that's when it truly hit me. Now, by that point, I had been in the industry for over a decade. And I was like, dang. Yeah, this is not what my husband's office looked like. This is not what the quote unquote work day at my husband's office looks like. Not that I'm a drinker, but, you know, they were pouring the wine and this, that, the other. And so, you know, just to sit in that dining room, to have the caliber of dinner that we had, or actually it was a lunch, and just enjoy it. And for those that wanted to have a little wine, they had a little, like it just, everything about it. And it was just your typical Wednesday afternoon at the office. It was absolutely mind-blowing when I kind of put it in perspective of, oh yeah, this is just what I do. There's so many of those moments throughout the years. I remember when Paradisus Punta Cana, they had just done a major reno, major rebrand, all of that. And they were opening their Gabby Beach Club. And so it happened to be when our national owners conference was taking place. So it was all the owners and all the corporate managers that were there. And so they did the quote unquote grand opening of this Gabby Beach Club. And I remember as we're walking down, because we were staying at a different property. So we walked down this twisty, curvy path all the way through the gardens. It's at night, and everywhere, every time there was a curve, there was like another Cirque du Soleil type performer. There was ribbon, or what do they call it? Like the silks, where they were up in the trees and doing performances. There was the stilts. There was all of these amazing things that as we walked, and it was lit right up and just everything about it. And then we got to the beach And there was a spot that said, leave your shoes here. And I'm like, man, it's a good party when you got to ditch your shoes before you even go in. We danced on the beach that night for hours. And in fact, the whole atmosphere of it, I just remember looking around because they had these giant white acrylic boxes that are all lit up, all backlit, and all of the round chairs and balls and everything. And I just remember thinking, damn, I think there's going to be a Kardashian coming out of here at any point. It was just like going to a Miami Beach Club opening. Like, it was absolutely phenomenal. And once again, I went, oh yeah, this is what I do. Who gets to say that? Oh, wait, you do. You're a part of the same industry. You have an opportunity to have those same experiences. You get opportunities. I don't know about you, but when I was a little kid growing up in central Alberta on a farm where if we didn't put it away in the freezer for the winter, we weren't going to get to eat. We had multiple deep freezes and ginormous garden because that's the only way my parents could afford to feed the family back in that era. We grew our own meat. We had our own cows. We had our own chicken. We had everything that we needed. And if we didn't grow it, then the neighbors did. And that's how we survived. So now to fast forward to this life that I lived in my 20s, 30s, now my 40s is absolutely mind-blowing. There's been so many good moments. There's also been some really hard ones. And in the moment, they were so hard. But looking back, they're also some of the moments that mean the absolute world to me. I'll never forget the time I had clients. They had just come back from Jamaica and I'd run into them in the grocery store and he was really, really cranky, like abnormal. That was not his normal personality. And so I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Went back to the office and they came in an hour later. They sat down at my desk and they told me when they had got home the week before, he had to go in for some testing and that they actually found out that he had cancer. And so he decided he was ready to live life and he was going to do it. And they apologized for him being cranky because, he was still processing this. So we sat down and we made a list of all the things he wanted to do. A week later, they came back and said they had done kind of that exploratory surgery and they closed him back up and said, your time is not long. Do what needs done. So we adjusted that priority. Fast forward 3 months, the mom and the daughter come in and I'm like, hey, how are you? And they said, oh, you didn't hear. And in that moment, there was no question. I knew. I remember sitting at that desk, holding it together for everything that was within me as I planned a trip back to Jamaica. Because his wish was that the wife would take the daughters back to the last place he had ever been happy. And so I did that. And I sat at my desk and I made it all the way through that appointment. I have no idea how. And as soon as they walked out the door, I got up from my desk and I said, I'll be back when I'm back. And I went in the back and I cried. It was the hardest day I had at the office. And yet the most fulfilling too. Because that got to be the closure. That got to be that closing of the loop that his daughters got. I went on to book lots of trips for them afterwards because now they wanted to go see the world because they had this understanding that so many of us never get until it's too late. They had that understanding that life is finite. I've been in the situation where I have booked family members to go say goodbye. I have been there on the phone, making the calls, getting those flights set up, doing what needs to be done, moving heaven and earth to get them there in time. We weren't always successful, but man, did we try. And at the same time, I've also been the recipient of the texts when it didn't work out, when they did have to say goodbye. Or it said, I just need you to know, as we're looking through all these photos, how much of a role you played in us getting to have these memories that are going to carry on for forever. Sometimes what seems like hard isn't actually hard. It is the biggest gift that we get. I love the travel industry to my core. I'm not going to lie. There are days it is freaking bipolar. Like there's just no other way to describe it. Heck, this podcast is probably going to feel that way as I'm wiping away my own tears. And I am so sorry if you were driving and that might have triggered something for you. I apologize. But we ride it with our clients. We go to the highest highs and the lowest lows. We get to be a part of building memories and experiences for our clients that are going to be there for their family, for the people they go with long after they're there. When you're gone, you can leave your stuff, but I would so much rather leave memories. I would so much rather leave my family experiences. I remember when my husband's grandmother passed. She left us a little bit of money. And I said to my husband, I said, we're going to Disneyland. He said, why? I said, because we are going to go and celebrate life with our kids. And he goes, oh, okay, sounds good. My only regret in that is that she left us money rather than being able to go on that experience with us. That was the day I realized I was going to help as many families as possible to experience the world together, to build experiences together. Because those are the moments that you just don't. We took my parents on that trip, and I took my nephew and a cousin, but I actually call her my niece, but whole little family scenario. But I took Taylor and Kat with us on that trip, and oh my heavens, we had so much fun. There was only like 2 or 3 weeks lead up to going. It was a last minute idea. It was a week and a half before Christmas. It had always been on the bucket list to see Disney at Christmas, and we nailed it going just before the crowds. It was absolutely fantastic. If we don't recognize the highs, those lows are going to get us. Those lows will pull us down. When you're looking at your career, you need to find the highs. You need to find the wins, even if they're the little ones. I remember, oh my goodness. Okay, so years ago, oh man, again, it must have been like a decade ago or so. There was a company and they flew us from Edmonton down to Calgary. So it was like, I don't know, 45-minute flight, but they flew a whole plane full of us down to go attend their big expo. We had a freaking blast. Then they picked us up on buses. They took us to downtown. We went to the great big convention center. We did all that. That's when I learned that even though I'd been in the industry a long time, I was still totally a rookie when it came to these, because I saw people walking around with suitcases to put their stuff in. And I thought, damn, they know how to do these conferences because they put all the brochures in there. Yeah, this was definitely in like full swing brochure mode of the industry and swag and everything else. But when we went to leave, one of my agents was sitting with me. So it was one of my inside team. And she was sitting on the seat beside me. And the plane was just getting ready to taxi. And you know how when it gets to the end of the airport, or not airport, end of the runway, before it gets ready to taxi, it comes to a stop and then it takes off. Well, it was just readying into that stop. And she stood up because she was quite short and the bulkhead was really high. and or the overhead bins were really high. And so I think she was trying to like adjust her air or something. So she unbuckled and stood up. Well, it was just as we were coming to a stop. I'm like, you need to buckle up. They're going to stop the plane. And just then the plane stops. I laugh about this a decade later because the horror on her face, like, oh no, did they see me? It still makes me laugh because, like, just the sheer blinding panic. And then, of course, my panic when I realized I was laughing so hard and now the plane was about to take off down the runway. So there was no getting up for a restroom. But the thing is, though, is that it's those moments too. You are in an industry that if you let it, can be the best thing you've ever done in your life. You are going to have stories to tell for decades. But can I just say something? Because I got a whole bunch of stories. Don't be the drunk on the fam. I'm just going to say, because I got a whole lot of stories about them. I remember one of my advisors coming back and telling me that her roommate was so drunk during the night that she couldn't find the bathroom. Like, that's horrifying. Don't be that person. I got one from Disneyland. Oh my goodness. I don't even think those people still work for the agency that they were with. Like, just don't be that person. You know what? Here's a scoop. You were there on business. Be on business. Maybe that was my soapbox of this week. But honestly, you have an opportunity in front of you. And I know that there's a lot of people that listen who are brand new to the industry that listen to my podcast. Our industry is freaking amazing. It is freaking amazing. The earning potential, unlimited. But is it going to be easy? No. I am never, ever, ever going to tell you it's going to be easy. What I am going to tell you, it is so worth it. So, on this Travel Advisor Appreciation Day, know that I appreciate you. I love being able to serve this community. And if ever we are somewhere we can meet up, let me know. I would love to come hang out. Until next time, happy selling. And P.S. next week, OMG, do we have an episode for you? That's where I'm going to leave that. See you next week.